If you grew up in the late 90s, someone probably pointed out that the Pokémon Ekans is just snake spelled backwards. It's the playground's favorite piece of trivia. To most, it represents a lazy naming convention, a monster whose identity is a simple, reversed word. But consider the actual difficulty of expanding a vocabulary. Dictionaries add thousands of new, complex words to the English language every year. For most adults, adding even a fraction of these to a mental lexicon is a significant cognitive challenge. Yet millions of children adopted a catalog of 151 fabricated words with ease. What looks like a cheap joke on the surface provided a practical workshop in language awareness, training players to instinctively look for the building blocks hidden inside every new word they encountered. Linguists call these neologisms, newly coined words or phrases not yet accepted into mainstream dictionaries. Think of terms like froyo or noob in the years before they became common. In the late 90s, Pokémon asked children to adopt 151 of these complex neologisms simultaneously, and for the most part, the audience mastered the list without formal study. This wasn't a feat of rote memorization. Instead, the game's creators built these names as solvable morphological puzzles, using rules that allowed the human brain to decode them on sight. This diagram shows Ogden and Richard's triangle of reference, explaining how we connect sounds to concepts. The symbol is the spoken word, triggering the reference, the idea in our minds, which points to the referent, the actual object in the world. The creators utilized this triangle by ensuring the names were descriptive. By analyzing the linguistic patterns within the name, players could often deduce a creature's physical appearance before they ever encountered it in the tall grass. In the 1950s, Noam Chomsky popularized the principle of generative grammar. He argued that we use a limited number of familiar morphemes, the smallest units of meaning, to create a nearly infinite number of words. Take Bulbasaur. Its name combines a modifier, bulb, with a head, saur, a Greek root for reptile. These linguistic units translate directly to the creature's design, telling the brain to expect a dinosaur with a plant bulb on its back. This compounding allows a completely fabricated word to communicate a creature's entire biology to a child who has never seen it before. The developers also used a tool called clipping, which we can see in the name of the insect creature, Caterpie. Here, two things happen at once. First, a final clipping occurs, chopping off the end of the word caterpillar. Then, a process called affixation attaches the suffix e to the remaining stump. In English, the e suffix acts as a diminutive. It signals that a creature is small, young, or familiar, setting expectations for its power level within the game. These affixes act as an implicit tutorial, teaching children to gauge a creature's strength and evolution level through linguistics alone. Because players used these English building blocks to deduce the names, the need for blind memorization disappeared. The names made logical sense within the language the kids already spoke. This created a community of practice, a sociological group where millions of people interacted regularly using a shared, highly specialized vocabulary. With the advent of global online links, this community grew to over 14 million active participants. They traded and battled using these names as their primary currency of communication. Within this group, names like Ekans and Bulbasaur are no longer neologisms. Since no synonyms exist for them, they have settled into the lexicon as permanent, fixed nouns. It all returns to that simple realization about Ekans being snake spelled backwards. This naming convention ties morphological patterns directly to visual identity, turning a game about catching monsters into a practical exercise in language construction. The original 151 Pokémon names are a massive interactive vocabulary set, one that turned complex linguistic theory into a global standard for millions of players.